And we're going to begin seated. And as you make your way to your seat, I'm going to I like to have a couple blankets. I ordered more blankets because I've got myself all over the place and I just need blankets everywhere. I'm going to have a blanket down where my ankles are going to be. And I'm going to take another blanket and fold it so that my hips have a little bit of height. And I find that this makes a big difference in just how my seat feels. There are whole practices where one could just spend the whole time just seated, and especially with different breathing practices. And so it's nice to play around with height under your hips just to see how it changes the tilt of your pelvis and how it changes the way that you feel. Maybe you're able to feel a little more upright. And it's good to just kind of rock a little from side to side. You can kind of feel this connection of your bum bones, of your sitting bones, ischial tuberosity, I think they're called. It's your pelvis, it's those protrusions at the bottom, the base of your pelvis, and sitting and shifting a little from side to side, and then shifting back and forth. And there are many different interesting movement practices, but one that's kind of fun that I think is kind of interesting that I was doing yesterday with a teacher is as you move forward, it's like you have a beak and you want to come forward and lift your beak and then lower your beak and round back up. And so you're reaching your beak out and drawing it in, and I'm going to do that for a little bit, and we're going to change a couple different ways that we do it also. And this is one of the reasons why instead of sitting up on blocks or a little higher height, I have just that folded blanket, because otherwise I'd feel like I was going to tip over like a 2-year-old. Their heads are so big compared to the rest of their bodies. And also feeling rooted and kind of reaching out with your nose, which is like a beak, and you're kind of pecking the ground and bringing your beak back up. And these practices evolve with each of us. We can't aspire to be a Tibetan monk living in a cave 1,000 years ago. That's just not how we live our lives. But we can take some of these practices that were developed by those individuals and evolve them to become part of our experience. And next time you come up, this time you're going to kind of dip your beak down and bring your head down and then lift your chin and lift your beak and come back up. And one way is going to feel maybe a little more comfortable than the other way. And it's interesting. And you're moving your spine and you're relaxing your shoulders a little, maybe, and might feel a gentle pull, gentle tugging in different parts of your hips, of your back. And we want to allow our practice to have a gentleness and a kindness to it. And as you're moving, you're beginning to notice your breath a little bit as well. And this rocking motion also has an effect on how you might feel grounded, might feel supported by the earth. And maybe just one or two more times. I know for myself, you kind of get into the rhythm of something, and it's like, I kind of like that. I'd keep doing it for a while. And coming back to a seat and just sit up nice and tall and just sort of notice. Let's roll the shoulders a few times, bring them up to your ears and back down. And then let your shoulders relax. Bring your palms together and rub them. Nice to get your hands nice and warm. Then bring one hand to your heart and the other hand to your belly, and just sort of notice how you feel. Notice your breath. Notice your heartbeat. Softening your eyes. What a joy it is to be alive. You were drawn into life. You were invited. So smiling at that invitation to life and smiling into the connection between your base of your spine and the earth. Smiling to this connection between the crown of your head and the heavens. And relaxing your jaw and just being here. Take a deep breath in and let it go. We're going to bring our legs out and just point and flex your toes. You can move your ankles around. You can bounce your knees. It just feels good to move the legs. Bring your wrists out too. Bring your arms out, and we'll kind of conduct a cosmic orchestra. It's nice to conduct that cosmic orchestra. Breathing all the while. We're going to bend the knees and bring the feet to the ground, having them a little bit further away from each other. And bring your hands behind you, kind of relax a little bit back and let one knee fall in and out. And as you do, just observing and see if your breath can kind of join you in this activity. Feeling the kind of subtleties of your leg, of your hip. And this movement actually really massages also the pelvis, kind of deep inside the pelvis. It massages, and also, of course, it's good for the hip flexor, for your hip socket as well. The synovial fluid, that juice that keeps things flowing nicely in the hips. The only way that it's produced is through movement. So we want to keep things nice and juicy in the hip. Bring the knee back up and come to the other side, letting your knee fall down and out to the side. And the slower you go, the better. Slow can be difficult. And we kind of have trained ourselves to rush through things to get to the next thing. And that's why it can be so difficult to slow down. But when we do, when we practice slowing down, kind of expand time. And we also, not expanding it in a way that makes it feel like drudgery, but expanding it in a way that allows us to kind of sort things out in a more organized fashion, to respond rather than to react. At least that's been my experience. And now we're going to do both knees over to the side, and maybe you reach behind you. I just love doing that. And you can let both knees fall to the side and reach and go into the other side, all to the side, and you reach, and you're getting this twist from the bottoms of your feet all the way to your fingertips. And you're breathing all the while, and you're finding that nice twist, that kind of opening through your hip and opening into your abdomen and into your chest, and you just allow yourself to reach as it feels good. And you're breathing. I love the flowing movements that we can find that make their way from side to side, because it gives you this opportunity to observe and to be playful. I'm gonna come back to center after you've evened yourself out. Definitely want to even yourself out, and release the support. If you have something under your hips, you might release it. And we're going to bring one leg out and the other foot in, and just take a moment to kind of rub the bottom of that foot that's in, just giving it a little stimulation. The acupressure point, the bubbling wellspring, is from on the bottom of the foot. There are acupressure points for the earth element, our sense of safety and security, our ability to digest information, process things. There's meridians for the water element, so our ability to kind of convert fear into courage, to accept our calling and our ancestry, our DNA, what we've been given and gifted, to feel comfortable, more comfortable with life, and to kind of go with the flow. You can think of that with water, going with the flow. Meridians for the wood element, our ability to kind of make decisions and to plan, and our vision, our thinking, our ability to think clearly and organize our thoughts, but also generosity with ourselves. So that's just from one perspective. That's just from this idea of Chinese medicine and meridians. But there's also reflexology, where your whole bottom of your foot is a microcosm of your body. And so as you rub your foot, you're giving yourself a full body treatment. So there's so many different things to learn, and we can put little pieces together. And our job is to evolve those ideas. Gonna let that foot relax, and we're gonna find some lateral stretches. Bring the hand to leg and reach, and just reach your arm wherever it wants to go. You can look down, getting that release in your neck. Maybe you move your wrist around a little. Then we're gonna lateral stretch the other direction. Bring your hand down. And let the other arm kind of reach, and length from the toes, the tips of your fingers, and we'll do that again, kind of like a rainbow. And if it feels like fun to you when you bring your hand back behind you, you might lift your hips and reach your arm back behind you, and then lower your hips. And that's not in the recipe for what will feel nice to you. You don't have to do it, but options are fun, and this can be really fun too. Feels good if you feel stable enough, especially on that shoulder. And you might have one side of the body, one shoulder, that is a little bit more iffy, and you do it on one side and not the other, and that's totally cool too. As you know, reaching, stretching, reaching over these lines of energy, these meridians, and our fascia, our connective tissue. We're encouraging the flow of energy. Okay, one more time. Notice your respiration increasing, your heart rate increasing a little, and come to center. Whew. Let the other leg come out. Oh, that feels good. Now both legs are wide for a moment, sitting up nice and tall. And if it feels good, start to lean forward. Just walking your fingertips forward gently. You don't have to go very far. And see if your chin can come towards your chest. Then you can kind of lower a little and then lift a little. And lower and lift. And just play around with that movement. I've got my heels really pressing into the ground and my toes pointing upward. So my legs are quite engaged. And my upper body can release and come forward again, kind of like what we were doing earlier with our beaks. Come up to seat, and we'll bend the other knee and bring that foot in to give it a nice massage. I'm so happy. It was like, when's my turn? Again, the bubbling well springs or this point on the bottom of the foot. Each toe is either the end point or the start point of the meridian, the outside edge, the inside edge, your heel, your ankle, and also warming your feet can just feel good this time of year. And as it gets a little cooler out, it's important to keep our feet warm. Maybe you give yourself an Epsom salt bath or, foot bath. Ooh, do something like that. Give yourself a nice foot care evening where you soak your feet for a while. Put some nice kind of oil on them. And then put them in some cozy socks. Now that sounds good. Oh. And then we'll find our stretches. Our lateral stretch. Begin going towards the leg and you're kind of reaching out. You can move your wrist. You can go one direction, the other. You can wave your arm. Maybe you look down and release pressure from your neck. Never a bad idea. And breathing all the while. And we'll lateral stretch the other direction. Hand comes down, arm comes over, bending into your elbow, your wrist. Breathing into that side. And we'll rainbow it, going one direction and then the other direction. And if it feels good, maybe you lift your hips and reach and then bring your hand and your bum back down and you see if you can do it with control. And if that's not happening, you don't have to do it. We push ourselves too much to do things that don't align with our needs. And we have this inner wisdom helping us to kind of sort things out, helping us to listen, to make choices that will be helpful for our bodies and our minds. And we don't always want to go along with it, but the more we listen, that's the other benefit. Flow of energy through the body, and then starting to listen more to our inner wisdom. Breathe. And then finishing out each side, however you do. And then bend this knee, bring the soles of your feet together, press them together, and flutter your butterfly wings. And then bring stillness. Sit for a moment, take a deep breath in, and let it go. Come into tabletop next. Bring your hands to the outsides of your knees and make your way into tabletop. And I like my blocks. You all know that I like them. But some of us don't like them, and that's totally cool too. find some cats and cows. Opening up your front body and rounding forward. And really pressing through your hands, and as you open, your belly drops down to the earth, and kind of open the space between your collarbones. See if your shoulders can relax down a little, and when you round forward, see if you can really breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. You can linger anywhere. You can curl your toes under and kind of sink your hips back a little during your cat. That can feel nice. And then pull forward during your cow, and play around a little bit with that, with the stretching of the bottoms of the feet. We're going to thread the needle. I'm going to bring one of my blocks where my head is going to go, because I like that. Hand coming down to the mat. The other arm opens up. Get this nice open twist. Fingertips towards the ceiling. And then bring your arm underneath of the other arm. Let your shoulder come down to the ground. Let your head maybe come to the ground or to a block. And just relax. Let your fingers release. Your hands, your wrists soften. And there's many different things one could do in this pose, but what I'm going to suggest today is reach the other arm up and then maybe bring it behind your low back. And that gives you an interesting kind of twisty experience maybe as you relax and release your shoulder that's on the earth, and other arm kind of resting at your low back. And breathe. The arm resting on the low back, reach it back up, bring the palm down to the ground, press through it and lift yourself up, open back up. Bring your hand down and we'll switch sides. Reach the other arm up, fingertips towards the sky, and thread the needle. Bring it under your arm, let your head come to the ground or to a block, some type of support, and let your wrist really relax. Maybe if it feels good, you can take that hand that's pressing into the ground, reach your fingers up, and then bend your elbow, bring it to your low back. Really, really nice. Opening yourself up a little bit, and you're breathing, and your shoulders relaxing. So good for the muscles supporting your spine. Reach your arm back up and bring your palm down, press into it, open yourself up again, and then bring your hand down. And a downward facing dog that feels good to you. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back. You're going to bend your knees a lot and really press through your hands. Bend your knees and let your chest come towards your upper legs. And your heels are lifted, your head and neck relax, and there's this line of energy from the fingertips and the palms of your hands all the way up your arms, all the way from the spine, from the top of the spine down into tailbone. Get a deep breath in and let it go. Knees come back down to the ground, and we'll do that again. Downward facing dog. And we're going to play around with that a little bit. And then bringing your knees back down. So just kind of play around at your own rate. Bringing your knees down. And then lifting your knees off of the ground into your down dog. So down dog to tabletop. You can linger anywhere you like. You could come into a child's pose if that feels good to you. And when you're in down dog, see if your head and neck can relax, and just notice the difference. Notice the dynamic experience of coming into down dog as more than just something a little bit more exertion heavy or exertive. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Into something less so. Maybe one more time into down dog if that's feeling like fun to you, and you can be there for a few moments. You can let your low abdomen come towards your spine and your chest comes towards your upper legs, your head and neck relax, and take a nice deep inhale, and knees are going to come back down to the ground, and we're going to come into a low lunge. I like my blocks on my highest setting for a lunge. Doesn't matter which foot is in front, but keep your knee down, the back knee, and we're gonna stretch over the leg. So coming forward and be opening your chest. You might get a really deep stretch in your hip flexor, and then coming forward and getting that stretch in the back of your legs, playing around with that stretch. It's nice. Moving with your breath, letting your breath kind of enhance your experience, breathing into different parts of your body. Our breath informs our awareness, and that's why it's so important. It's so important in so many different practices all around the world, practices that were not connected to each other by the internet, obviously. Many ancient practices and regard the breath as being that connection between kind of our mind and body, our spirit and our body, between different parts of ourselves. The breath is a bridge. And it also informs our emotions. It allows us to feel. In Chinese medicine, the breath or the lungs are the sensitive, the tender organ. They embrace the ephemeral, help us to feel and to appreciate the moment as temporary. The next time you come forward into your low lunge, see if you want to curl your back toes under and lift your back knee. Then you're getting this big stretch through your calf muscle, through the back of that leg, and that can feel very nice as well. And then if it feels good, we can come into a twist. You can press your opposite hand as whatever foot is forward down and bring the other hand to your upper leg. Maybe you reach your fingertips towards the sky if you like. And you breathe and you allow your breath to be that bridge between different parts of yourself, different experiences, the bridge to the present moment. Bring your hand back down and your knee comes back down, and we're going to switch sides. Your other foot comes forward, and you'll find that low lunge, and then pulling back over the front leg. Playing around with that. The areas of tension in our bodies are, we think of injury oftentimes as just a physical experience, but our emotions can kind of hold in those areas as well. The chi doesn't flow as freely in the areas that are injured or that are kind of inflamed, stiff. So if we can encourage our breath to be a bridge into those spaces, sometimes we can figure out what's going on a little bit more, what emotions are at play, what experiences are at play, and we don't have to rationalize it. We can just feel and breathe. Like, okay, the back of my knee feels stiff. I don't have to wonder what that means, but I can just breathe into it, and then that becomes our way of informing our experience. It's just the breath, not rational thought. So you're breathing into a tight space, breathing into an area that's feels like, maybe it feels like it's not receiving any breath. Maybe it's in the back of your body, the back of your lungs. Maybe it's in your hip or your knee or your shoulders. Breathe into that spot, that space. And then coming back to a lunge. Bring your back toes under, lift to the back leg, and get a nice stretch in your back leg. Press your hand into support, and maybe you find a twist, twisting towards your leg that's in front. Maybe you reach your arm up, fingertips towards the sky. And you smile and you sigh. Bring your hand back down, and we're going to make our way to standing. So a forward fold. Blanket out of the way if you have one for your knees, as I do. And forward fold. Let's do a ragdoll sort of forward fold, so you can really let your upper body release and interlace your hands into opposite elbow creases, and sway a little bit from side to side. Let your arms release and slowly roll up towards standing. When you get to the top, let your shoulders come up to your ears and roll back. And find some nice big shoulder rolls. You can orient yourself however you'd like on your mat, getting your nice big shoulder rolls, and see if your wrists want to move around as you move your shoulders. Coming to stand, let your hands come to your hips, and we're going to find a Buddha step. Stepping one foot down and then coming around, letting the other foot step down, playing around with the balance. Seeing if you can go slow and just sort of notice whatever you do about your balance, about how far you want to step, or are you really extending very far, and would it be better for you to extend a little closer to your body? Playing around with your hips, with balance, with your kind of center of gravity, can go all over the place. And come to standing with your toes pointing out. Really press through your feet. Let your hip flexors, your legs, everything kind of engage. You're gonna open up your arms like a star. So now it's like you've got kind of light energy shining out from your fingertips and from your toes, from your feet down into the earth, from your palms into the world around you. You're just this star shining. Smile. Take a big inhale and let it go. Give yourself a hug. Wrap your arms around yourself and kind of bend your knees a little. You can sway a little, move in any direction that feels good to you. And then open your arms up again and shine like a big star that you are. Opening up and give yourself a hug. Relax your jaw. One more time, opening up the star that you are. And let your arms come down. And shake out your arms, shake out your legs. Give yourself the funky dance. Actually bop around a lot. That can feel so good. It really just releases tension melting off of you from the top of your head all the way down your neck, your shoulders, your abdomen and chest, your hips, your legs. It all just melts away. It sinks into the earth. Swinging your arms if that feels good. That can feel really nice too. We don't have to have a name for anything to make it a valid experience. We don't have to measure it. You can just qualify it. If it feels good, helpful, and useful to us. Doesn't matter if it can be measured. Doesn't matter if there's some evidence about it. I mean, there can be, but there is. But it doesn't matter. Coming back to center and just pause for a moment and feel all of this energy moving. Feel all of this kind of vibration. Take a few nice breaths here. Letting your shoulders soften with each exhale. We're going to play around a little bit with triangle pose. I'm going to take my blocks on their highest height and stick them at the back of my mat. Stepping your feet apart, let your feet be parallel. And turning one set of toes in, let your pinky edge of your foot really press into the ground. Feel what that does in your hip. Just notice what it does. And then your other leg, toes point forward. You want to keep your leg as straight as it can be and bring your arms out and start to lean forward and then hinge, coming into triangle. And you might not go very deep. Maybe you actually have your knee bent a little and this is better for you. Or maybe your fingers or your hand comes to a block, or your palm presses into your shin. Maybe your upper hand comes to your hip and that feels better to you. Listen to what works for you. Maybe your gaze looks down or maybe your gaze looks up. But you're breathing all the while and you're being cognizant of what you're doing. You're letting your breath inform you. Trying to bring this sense of awareness in how we move and to build it so you can bring it into everything you do. Start to lift yourself up. Ooh, come back to center. Toes come in, the other foot, and toes turn out. Again, kind of noticing your legs, feeling nice and strong through both feet, and your arms, and hinge, and bring the hand down. Maybe it comes to a block. Fingertips could even be on the block. Your other hand could extend up, fingertips towards the sky, thumb drawn inward. And you're really pressing through both feet, and regardless of where your hand is, you're trying to sort of open your chest. So that's why having the hand on the hip can be really nice, because I feel like I can open my chest a little better when I have that hand on the hip. And are you looking down or are you looking up? And take a deep inhale and let go as you come back up and turn your toes in, step your feet towards each other and find that funky dance again. Bounce around a little. Maybe let your arms swing, gently hit your body, and breathe. So the yoga asanas are designed to help us identify the way that our energy moves through our bodies through kind of isolating different muscles and noticing what happens in different muscles and kind of strengthening those muscles, preparing the body for the breath is what asana is all about. We're gonna do it again, triangle, same thing, same sides. So stepping the feet apart, turning toes in, turning toes out, and pressing through both feet. And then bring your arms out and hinging, bringing your hand. I'm gonna bring my hand right to my hip because for me that just feels better right now. Or maybe your palm presses into your shin, maybe your fingertips are on your block, and your head. Your head looking down? That's cool. Is your head turning, looking up? That just always makes me feel a little dizzy. Noticing your feet really pressing through all of the parts of the bottom of each foot. You brought awareness to it earlier when you rubbed your foot. And then bringing yourself back up, and we'll come back through center to the other side. Toes turn in and toes turn out. Bringing your hand down to the block or to your leg somewhere. Open your chest. Let your chest be open. I'm gonna turn my head to look down very intentionally. What are you doing? Just noticing, building that awareness. Relax your jaw. And take a deep inhale and let it go. Slowly come back up and step your feet towards each other. Shake out your arms, shake out your legs. Give yourself that to bop around. And maybe some arm swings. Yeah. Bending your knees, swinging your arms. And we'll do one more standing posture, which is going to be a wide-legged forward fold. And there are different ways to do this. And it depends on how this feels to you, stepping your feet apart. You could just allow your upper body to just release forward. You don't even have to worry about anything else. Or you could bring your hands to blocks and walk, or to the ground, and walk your palms to be in line with your big toes, and your hands are shoulder width distance. Bending your elbows, bringing the crown of your head down towards the ground. Maybe you bring it to a block. Maybe it comes to a block, and you can even walk your hands back a little bit further so that the palms of your hands are in line with the heels of your feet. And wherever you are, you're breathing and you're sort of noticing, just noticing. There's no right or wrong, or your toes turned out or your toes turned in. You can do it both ways. Are your feet pretty much parallel? There's no right or wrong. Again, it's just observation, and your breathing, which is the most important part. And relax your jaw. Take a deep breath in and let it go. We'll walk your hands forward, and we're going to make our way into a squat. So you might wiggle walk your feet towards each other. And the squat's going to take us to a seat. So maybe you just come straight to a seat, which is totally fine. Or you come to a squat and you bring the palms of your hands together, seeing if you can kind of open up your chest, the tailbone sinking towards the earth as the crown of your head extends towards the heavens. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Have a kerplopple. Kerplopple. And take a blanket. Kind of come down to our back. So I take a blanket for under the back of my head. I've got my blocks handy for blocky things. And then I'm going to suggest today, if it feels like fun to you, to rock and roll a little bit. So maybe bringing your hands to under your knees, and you can tuck your chin and you can kind of rock and roll a few times, or you can just come on down to your back, and that's fine too. But the rocking and rolling can feel kind of good on your spine. I was in a class once. It was a class where we were rocking and rolling, and every time we came back up onto the feet, we'd come into like a chair pose and then come back down. That's fine. We're not going to do that unless you want to do that. I gave you the idea, so maybe somebody wants that. We finally come to your back. Oh, it feels nice. And just hold on to your knees and rock from side to side and let your head rock in the other direction. Move your ankles, move your toes. And we're gonna do a little twist whilst we're here, and you can find any variation. Maybe your feet come to the ground and you let both knees come to one side, kind of windshield wiping your feet. Or if you like, you can have your knees kind of parallel, or your shins parallel to the ground, and you can bring your arms into a T or cactus, whatever your space around you allows for, and let both knees fall to one side. This is where having your blocks handy can be nice, or another blanket, is because if that's too much, you could have a blanket so that your knees can fall over onto the blanket, or you could have your blocks there kind of lined up on the lowest setting, so your shins can kind of rest, or your shin, the lower one, can rest on that block. So finding yourself in a place where you can kind of relax here for a few breaths, and maybe you turn your head in the opposite direction as your knees, and just allow yourself to breathe. Start to bring yourself back to center. You can reorganize your spine and bring your knees in, and maybe your shins are parallel with the mat, and then you let them fall to the other side. And again, you could have a blanket or something for them to kind of fall into your arms. Relax as you turn to look over your other shoulder, and you just soften and get yourself in a place where you're able to breathe, where you're able to kind of allow a little bit more of that kind of surrendering into the earth. You were doing a whole bunch of stuff where it almost feels like we're working against gravity sometimes, and so you're just surrendering. You're allowing the earth to hold you like the amazing mother that she is. Take a deep breath in and let it go, and make your way back to center. Let your spine come to the earth, and bring your knees in, give them a little rock, and make any other movements that might feel good to you before we come into final relaxation. So maybe your arms and legs extend towards the ceiling. You can shake them out. You can find a bridge lift. You can hug your knees, happy baby, anything that feels good to you. And also knowing that as it gets cooler, when our bodies are cool, we have a harder time kind of relaxing. So if it's a cooler temperature in your home, maybe you have a blanket that you can put over your body too, or over your feet at least, because your feet might get chilly. And as you're making your movements, you're making your way into your final relaxation. And so as you do, kind of starting to get yourself there, extending your legs out long, or maybe you have your feet on the ground and your knees are bent, falling into each other. You can let your glasses, you can put them off to the side if you wear glasses. You can rock a little bit on your back body, and maybe your hands rest on your abdomen, or maybe they extend down to your side. Making sure you have enough support under the back of your head, rolling a blanket up under your neck, and then take a deep inhale and relax and soften. Allow yourself to be here, to surrender into the earth, to kind of absorb your practice. It's very much goes to deeper levels than just the muscular that we think of or the superficial. It really sinks into our being, especially as we are just aware of our breath. So as you breathe, your breath is soft and natural. Noticing the subtleties of the rise and fall of your abdomen, and the warmth of the out breath. The security of your body being held by the earth. Begin to deepen your breath. Make small movements with your fingers and your toes. Wrists and ankles. And reach your arms up behind you. Find a full body stretch. And bend your knee and roll to your side. And slowly press your way up to a seat. When you get there, rock from side to side and front to back. Rub your hands together, getting them nice and warm. Place one on your belly and one over your heart. And offer yourself kindness and compassion, peace and love. And let those components be part of each interaction. Namaste, friend. Such an honor to get to practice with you all this morning, and I'll hit my stop the recording button. Maybe when I find it, stop. There it is.